Welcome to the Catholic Table Talk podcast. This is where everything Catholic is on the table. New episodes Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on most podcast platforms. Here's your host, William Sauber.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode here at Catholic Table Talk podcast. Welcome back once again, like I said, for episode 169. And today we are kind of continuing our trip with Bishop Neary. Again, this is not his actual interview with Bishop Neary from the Diocese of St. Cloud in Minnesota, but this is an article on what Bishop Neary recently did. And last week we talked about his article on voting, in the upcoming election or elections, how should we vote? This week we are talking about, his trip recently to the southern border and what he thinks of the whole situation as of now. Again, this is in 2024. It could change, but the message he's saying will never change as the catechism what it states in there, I should say. So that, and then kind of dig some more into the catechism. It's a short article, so it shouldn't take too long for everyone. But again, if you have a show topic or a speaker request, please email us at catholictt@gmail.com. Again, it's Catholic with 2 T's at gmail.com, the official email of Catholic Table Talk. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, leave a review, or share the show, whichever platform you're listening to. A website, visit that, as well as thank you for today's sponsor, Dr. George Saguma. Dr. George Saguma is a family physician who practices holistic health and healing. Find more about him at drgeorge.com. He's the author of many, many books, and really good. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say many books, but he's author of a couple of great ones. Also, when this episode comes out, be ready for Veterans Day only sale. We have posted that on our social media, so be on the lookout. Look up that. He's giving away, if you buy, usually you can buy his books in an audiobook, but he's giving them away for free for like 3 days only in November over Veterans Day. So please check that out for Dr. George Saguma. Thank you again, Dr. George, for sponsoring today's show. On to the article again from Bishop Neary. This is from the Central Minnesota Catholic magazine website. Bishop Neary visits the U.S.-Mexico border and witnesses challenges firsthand. This was in September of 2024. Bishop Patrick Neary visited the U.S.-Mexico border in McAllen, Texas, with other U.S. bishops August 22nd to 25th to discuss immigration issues and witness migrants' experiences. The bishop has prioritized getting to know the immigrants living and working across the St. Cloud Diocese 16 counties. The border visit was an opportunity to learn more about the challenges facing immigrants coming to the United States. Latinos are close to my heart, and I am always concerned with how migrants are treated, how migrants are treated, how they sing and how they talk about, Bishop Neary said. The Texas meetings including presentations by Border Patrol officers Bishop Mark J. Seitz from the Diocese of El Paso, and the Executive Director of Catholic Charities Rio Grande Valley, and Sister Norma Pavnita. Bishop Neary's time in McAllen also included visits to the Catholic Charities Humanitarian Crisis Respite Center, the border crossing, and the Marina Shrine of Our Lady of San Juan de Valle. One of the bishops made a comment that we built walls in our hearts to keep us from accepting migrants, Bishop Neary said. We paint them as criminals, as invaders causing chaos and violence. So we build walls in our hearts and we won't let them in. Now, again, this is where I find myself very torn, because again, it's like, I mean, it's a Catholic thing. Yes, we don't, we love each other. We want the best of our neighbors, no matter what they look like, who they are. But again, you have to put into consideration as most migrants, a lot of them, maybe they are good. And yeah, maybe they're not treated the correct way. But there are some not so great migrants who might cause harm to other people in the country, which again, I'm not saying that they're not our brothers and sisters, I'm not saying that. But again, this is just such a tricky topic. Everyone thinks about abortion, everyone thinks about just like we talked about last week, just really putting your faith forward. And this one is really kind of tough, because you're like, if you don't face the fact, I mean, what about someone who's child trafficking or trafficking, people in? I mean, again, they're all still people, they're all still God's children, right? But we might need to deal with that a little bit differently. And again, we're not saying that they're all criminals. That's just what the media, to me, I think that's what the media really puts out there. And I think we kind of take it. Again, I'm not saying Bishop Neary is wrong. I'm not saying anything. But again, this is a very tricky topic. And it's kind of personal what each of us think of it. We might agree, we might disagree. At the respite set to a place where migrants can rest, shower, and have meals, Bishop Neary heard first-hand stories about hardship migrants face, having to choose between leaving one's home country, or having a daughter forced into human trafficking, being robbed of all possessions on the door, being kidnapped by drug cartels, and having to ask struggling family members to sell possessions to pay the ransom for release. And I think that's the other thing with all the drug cartels. I mean, the thing is like, how can we help them? Because that's before they get to the border. That's not at the border. I mean, if they made it through to say, hey, man, we'll worry about this and that, that's before the border. So that's, again, if we think, oh, man, this is they're coming here because they want a better life, totally understand. Totally for that. But again, it's like, where is that line drawn? And the Catechism does kind of state this, and I mentioned it earlier in another episode, is, again, I mean, we're all supposed to welcome people, but again, it's just a very touchy topic. And, I mean, it is, again, we must still, I mean, what am I trying to say? But, again, it's, to me, anyway, again, if they're coming up through Mexico and they're worried about all this, well, that's the same thing as, let's just say, the expansion west. If you are in a wagon train, you're like, dang, we had attacks from natives, we had attacks from gangs, we went through a desert. It's like, man, but we got to California, and now, it's, so again, people, I think, mistake of how migrants are treated. They are mistreated in a lot of ways, down at the border, things. But again, on the way up here, that's the joy, and most of us should know that. But again, it's like, the real question we should be asking is like, okay, how can we help them get up to the border? Because once they get to the border, they're pretty much safe, and if they really want to seek asylum, they are probably really, really willing to cooperate. So, going back to sell possessions for ransom for release from the cartels, if not back into human trafficking, which, again, it's kind of way apart to political views are, where you really just what you think. Maybe if you're not really a political person, maybe you're like, well, like they get forced into trafficking anyway, so what's the difference? What we're told by some of the officials is you're better off reporting yourself to the Border Patrol and asking for asylum than remaining in the hands of the cartels, Bishop Neary said. Some people may say, why can't they apply the normal way? Why can't they seek a visa? Which I think a lot of people, probably the most Americans, probably a half or whatever, probably would say that. The fact is that it's hard for people who have no money to know what to do. It is disheartening to realize how hard it is for anyone coming to the country to ever get a citizenship. It says on our Statue of Liberty, send us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. But we don't adhere to that, Bishop Neary said. Can't we ask ourselves, what if this was me? What if it was my family? How would I feel about this? On September 29th, the church observed World Day of Migrants and Refugees, and his message making the observance, Pope Francis said people should seek the immigrants of our time and those of every age, a living image of God's people on the way to eternal homeland. According to the Vatican News website, there were estimated 281 million intentional migrants in the world in 2020, which equated to 3.6% of the global population, and the number continues to rise. Bishop Neary encourages people of the diocese to pray for the leaders and embrace the Holy Father's message to remember the encounter with the migrant, as with every brother and sister in need, is also an encounter with Christ. And that's the end of the article, which, again, I am not trying to say we should. I'm not saying I disagree with the bishop because, again, he's a leader of the church. I'm not saying that all these, yeah, and I mean, that's, excellent, but I mean, again, he's a really, really good guy, really understanding the faith, ruling the faith. So again, and he's speaking the gospel. But again, when they don't, how hard is the one? Excuse me. The fact is, he says, it's hard for people who have no money to know what to do. I mean, money should that matter? Should not matter? Bishop Neary, you're welcome to come on and talk about this more if you like. But again, I think in today's world, we kind of push off as migrants. We don't know if they're coming in with good intentions or bad intentions. Again, yeah, a lot of us think maybe they are all pretty much criminals taking advantage of no matter what the border state is. And we kind of look at them differently. But again, they are still all our brothers and sisters, and yes, we should still reach out to them and help them in any way we can. Who are, like I said, the people who come here and seek asylum and live out the American dream and live out the Christian life, I should say. So again, very touchy topic. Again, I kind of feel some my personal, but again, it's basically what Bishop Neary is saying. I think we should be asking other questions as well, and I mean, and I guess maybe the fact is too. I just thought of this. Is just like, do we really know what? Again, at any moment, no matter who's in charge of the country as president, do we know for sure what's going on at the border? So, again, we should. Do we know the total facts of the border? I should say. And again, do we know what's really going on down there? So I think you might have to go to witness it to really see. But again, yes. Love your enemies, love everyone, love your neighbor as yourself. So again, totally agree. Help migrants. Again, I think there's a better way for doing immigration, but that's a different topic. And again, I think I think people migrants who are coming from through Mexico. Again, I just feel like the hardest journey is getting to the border. It's not really at the border. I think it's getting through the border, and then when you have some people who come in with evil, bad intentions, it really same thing. If you have if you give away, I guess I should say, if you give away, or if you have a free day of golf, right, and something happens to the green on the hole, where the hole's at, and the guys are just screwing off and they're messing up the green, it kind of wrecks it for everyone else. It's the same thing. You get a few people who have bad, evil intentions, and or minds or thoughts of the West change. And again, I agree with that. So again, something to think about, something to pray about, something to meditate about, and also again, it's kind of something that each president is different. No matter Democrat, Republican, Independent, each side has their own kind of border plan, and it's our job to do a research and to pray about and to pick. So, and do it by faith values, not political. Which again, maybe I sound a little more political in this episode than faith. Maybe I didn't. But again, if they're if they really need help, something to look into, something to reach out to them about, and help them make a fresh start here in the United States after wherever they came from. So, but again, Bishop Neary's article is in the link down below. It's a short read if you want to reread it, or whatever. More time to meditate on it. And again, it's welcome them with open arms, and pray that the boy situation gets down there, no matter how, and pray that they are treated better down there, and pray for everyone down, like the border agents who are helping them come through, and pray for just the safety of all those coming through to get to the border, as well as just anyone who is seeking asylum and coming in at different parts as well of the country. So, anyway, again, stay in the state of grace, go to sacraments frequently, love your neighbor as yourself, and again, keep this on the ballot, keep looking at this on the ballot in the elections, no matter what year it is, and again, stay informed, and God willing, we'll see you next week here at Catholic Table Talk.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Catholic Table Talk podcast, where everything Catholic is on the table. Don't forget to subscribe to Catholic Table Talk on your favorite podcast platform to get new episodes delivered directly to you every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern.